There's nothing better than hearing that really awesome rhythm guitar in our rock and metal music, but there is one thing that's better, and that's two rhythm guitars, but not just two guitars playing the exact same thing. I'm talking about having that second guitar play something a little different than the first guitar, but that complements it and it makes the song that much more awesome. Now, whether you're in a band and you've got two guitar players, or maybe you're just recording your own music and you want that second guitar doing something a little different, in this video, I'm gonna share with you 7 ways that you can compose that second rhythm guitar. So before we get into that, I'm gonna first let you hear the main guitar track. This is the first guitar track right here. Now let's hear the 7 different ways that you can compose and write that second guitar track that complements the track that I just played. And actually, I'm gonna get some help. I'm gonna have Gunnar play the second rhythm parts for you. This might be the easiest way to compose that second guitar part. Now remember, what I'm playing, I'm just letting those power chords kind of ring out there, that E, D, C, and then back to D. Pretty simple. So what Gunnar did in this case, he's essentially playing the same thing, playing those power chords, but he's chopping it up a bit by adding those palm mutes in. So this is a great and simple way to really spice up that second rhythm guitar without doing something completely different. Everything is really in sync here, and it just kind of makes the song drive and move a little bit, if that makes sense. Did something really cool and interesting here for his guitar part. He did this really cool single note melodic pattern for that second rhythm guitar, and this it perfectly matches what I'm playing for my rhythm. I'm holding those chords out, but then he's got this single note pattern that just continues to move throughout the song. And one band that I can think of, actually 2 bands, well there's several, but one band that's notable is Guns N' Roses. They had the one guitar player kind of carrying that rhythm, whether they were strumming the chords or letting those chords ring out. Then you had another guitar part that was carrying more of this sometimes single note melodic pattern. Journey is another good example of this as well. Now the cool thing about these single note melodic patterns is that they are memorable, and this is one of the beauties of not just rock and metal music, but all music. You want the listener to walk away remembering that melody line, whether it's a rhythm guitar or lead or the vocal line, but that melody is very powerful. So when you can place it in a rhythm like we just did here, the song is going to have that much more of an impact. Gunnar did something really interesting with his guitar part on this one. So he's helping the song continue to move by arpeggiating those power chords, or actually those bar chords. He's actually playing bar chords in this one here. You've got that E minor, playing it at that higher octave there, followed by the D, the C, and back to the D, but he's arpeggiating those notes within those chords. What's great about arpeggiating these chords is you're gonna typically be arpeggiating those higher notes. So if you've got one rhythm guitar track like the one that I played, well, I'm playing the lower notes, letting those power chords ring out. So Gunnar's over here playing higher notes, arpeggiating those higher notes. So you've got this really interesting contrast in more than one way. You've got the notes being held out, or the power chords being held out. The contrast to that is we've got some movement with the arpeggiating of those notes, and then you've got the lower notes over here, the contrast being the higher notes over here. So that makes the rhythms really interesting. Gunnar did here is really cool, and it just screams hard rock and heavy metal. So he took the power chords, the same power chords that I played for my part, and he added some palm muting. We already did that earlier, right? But he did something a little different here. He changed that second note of each power chord and kind of went back and forth on some of those notes. And this not only gives it more movement, but it just gives it a lot more edge. Now, these are my favorite types of power chords to play. Rarely will I just hold out a power chord. I love messing around with that second note. And this is something you can do as you play a power chord. Well, move that second note around a little bit and see what you can come up with. It's really going to make your rhythm sound awesome. Now, Gunnar played something very similar to what he did last time, but the difference is he used the inversions of the power chords. He started out with that, and what that does, that gives you a little bit more bite and edge with some of those higher notes, and on top of that, he played around with a second note of those inversions as well, just to give it a little bit more flavor. Now, the inversions sound cool anywhere you play them, and basically what that is, an inversion is basically starting with the fifth note of the power chord, which is typically that next note of that power chord. You've got your root, you got your fifth, and you're starting out with that fifth note, okay, then playing that along with a higher octave of the root note. That's your inversion. And again, Gunnar was kind of playing around with that second note of that, making that into another power chord there that's higher. So again, you've got that nice contrast. We talked about that earlier as well, having that nice contrast between the two guitar parts. Looks like Gunnar pulled out the telly for this one to play some clean chords along with what I played. Now, this is an option. This is something you can do to change up your song, and it will help change it up quite a bit, because a lot of times when we're listening to rock and heavy metal, we're used to those full-on distorted guitars, but you know, here we had that clean guitar come in, and it does give it kind of a different vibe. So if that's what you want, if your song is kind of sounding like, okay, this is sort of sounding like everything else I've been playing and writing, hey, try throwing a clean guitar in there and see what happens. Now here, Gunnar is just playing just the regular chords, the E minor, the D, and the C, and he's doing some arpeggiating in there. So again, this just helps change things up a little bit. If you want something that's not a little different, but maybe way different from what you're used to playing and hearing. Again, us guitar players, we're metal guitar players and rock guitar players. We love those distorted guitars, but throwing in a clean guitar along with a distorted guitar, again, that can just give the song a little bit more or different character. Now that was pretty interesting and pretty cool. It's almost like Gunnar was playing a guitar solo, but I don't really consider this a guitar solo, even though it's a lead pattern. It's a pattern that's rhythmic, and it kind of matches what I was doing on guitar as well. And one song that comes to mind is the song by Cutting Crew, I Just Died in Your Arms Tonight. You know, the guitar work, the rhythm guitar work is actually kind of playing a melodic lead pattern for the rhythm, and it sounds really cool. This is another way you can really change up your rhythms by adding sort of like a hybrid. I like to call this like a hybrid rhythm and lead. It's kind of the same thing all in one. And again, as long as it fits what the other guitar is doing, as long as it keeps that feel of the rhythm and keeps the song moving in that direction, you know, you don't really consider that a guitar solo. It's just part of the rhythm, but you're playing some higher notes and playing this really cool melodic pattern. So this can work really well if you're looking for something different and looking just to make a change in your rhythms. Now, a couple of things. First of all, I'd like to know what your favorite second rhythm part that Gunnar was playing. I'd like to know which one was your favorite. And actually, I'm gonna play all these. We're gonna play, both of us, we're gonna play all these back to back for you here at the end. But real quick, I wanna just invite you to download my free metal guitar practice guide if you don't have that yet. It's called Metal Riffs and Licks. There's a link for that in the description of this video. Now, if you already have my free practice guide, grab one of my guitar courses. I've got a guitar course for beginner metal guitar players called Metal Guitar Apprentice. If you're new and starting out, if you're seasoned, or if you're at least at that intermediate level, then you definitely want to jump into my Metal Riff Master course. All the links for everything is in the description of this video. All right, let's hear all of these back to back, and don't forget to comment on which one you like the best. Also, real quick, please like this video. Please give it a thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed, and we'll end with these 7 really cool rhythms.